Have you ever wondered how the England we know today came to be? A land marked by wars, alliances, invasions, and profound transformations? In this video, you will follow a journey through the most important events that shaped one of the most influential nations in history. Let's go back in time and understand how a territory fragmented by tribes became a unified kingdom, capable of impacting the world for centuries. Discover the beauties of England and obscure facts that few have the courage to tell. Stay with us until the end. If you are passionate about history, consider subscribing to the channel and leaving a like. This greatly helps the channel to grow and reach more people interested in history like you.
1. The Celtic tribes and the beginning of Britain. Before the arrival of the Romans, the island of Great Britain was inhabited by diverse Celtic peoples. They lived in independent tribes with their own languages, customs, and beliefs. The society was decentralized and deeply spiritual. The druids, Celtic priests, had enormous influence over religious, political, and judicial decisions. Despite their fragmentation, these tribes formed a rich and resilient culture. 2. The Roman invasion and the transformation of the island. In 43 AD, the Roman Emperor Claudius began his invasion of Britain. With the Romans came roads, cities, laws, and Christianity. London, called Londinium, became an important commercial and political center. Despite the Roman presence, the peoples of the north resisted. To contain these threats, Hadrian's Wall was built, symbolizing the limit of Rome's power on the island. For almost 400 years, Britain lived under Roman influence, with relative stability and advances in infrastructure and administration. 3. The fall of Rome and the arrival of the Germanic peoples. In the 5th century, the crisis of the Roman Empire led the legions to abandon the island. Without defense, Britain became a target for the Germanic peoples of Northern Europe, Angles, Saxons, Jutes, and Frisians. Initially invited to defend the island from the Pictish invaders, these peoples quickly became conquerors, settling permanently. The Germanic kingdoms came to dominate much of the territory. Christianity was suppressed, and a new Anglo-Saxon culture began to form. 4. Resistance and the legend of King Arthur. The Germanic occupation was not peaceful. There was resistance, especially in mountainous regions such as Wales and Cornwall. In this scenario, the figure of a British warrior leader emerged who would inspire, centuries later, the legend of King Arthur. Although the details are shrouded in myth, its existence symbolizes the struggle of the native peoples against the invaders. 5. The Second Christianization. In the late 6th century, Pope Gregory I sent a mission to reintroduce Christianity to the island. Led by Saint Augustine of Canterbury, the missionaries arrived in the Kingdom of Kent in 597. With the support of King Ethelbert, the Christian faith spread again, influencing the culture, politics, and society of the Anglo-Saxon kingdoms. Monasteries were founded, manuscripts preserved, and a new spiritual cohesion began to unite the kingdoms, paving the way for future unification. 6. The Viking threat and the rise of Alfred the Great. In the 9th century, the peace was once again shattered by the arrival of the Vikings, especially the Danes. Their violent raids led to the conquest and occupation of vast areas of England, forming the region known as the Danelaw. Amid the chaos, Alfred of Wessex, known as Alfred the Great, emerged. He reorganized the defenses, won crucial battles, and promoted cultural and educational reforms. Under his leadership, the Anglo-Saxons resisted Viking domination and began the process of unification. 7. The formation of a unified England. In 927, his grandson Ethelstan conquered Northumbria and became the first king of all England. However, after his death, the Vikings attacked again. It was Hadrian, his brother, who definitively consolidated royal control over the entire island. Under his rule, the kingdoms were centralized, the monarchy was strengthened, and English authority was asserted even in regions of Scandinavian influence. England ceased to be a mosaic of fragmented kingdoms and became a cohesive nation. 8. The Norman Conquest. The year 1066 marked one of the most decisive moments in the history of England. With the death of King Edward the Confessor, disputes arose over the succession. Harold Godwinson assumed the throne, but William of Normandy claimed the right to rule. He launched an invasion and defeated Harold at the Battle of Hastings. William was crowned King of England on December 25, 1066. The Anglo-Saxon era was coming to an end, and Norman rule began. 9. Changes under William the Conqueror. William imposed the feudal system in the French style, redistributed lands among his allies, and established fortresses throughout the country. The administration was reorganized, and in 1086, he ordered the creation of the Domesday Book, a detailed census of the kingdom's properties and inhabitants. The French language became dominant among the elite, profoundly influencing spoken English for centuries. The old Anglo-Saxon nobility was replaced by a Norman aristocracy. These changes shaped the basis of the medieval English monarchy.
Part 10. Sexuality and the Role of Women in Medieval England. Before we conclude, it is worth highlighting a less discussed aspect, but essential to understanding ancient England: the view on sexuality and the role of women in society. During the Celtic and Anglo-Saxon periods, women had more freedom than one might imagine. They could own land, ask for divorce, and in some cases, lead clans. Female sexuality, although surrounded by taboos, was viewed with less repression than it would be in the following centuries. With the arrival of Christianity, especially after the mission of St. Augustine, new moral norms emerged. The Church began to exert a strong influence on sexual behavior, preaching chastity, obedience, and restricting the female role to marriage and motherhood. However, not all women submitted to these rules. Some queens and noblewomen stood out precisely for challenging these standards. Other women, such as abbesses, gained political and religious power within the monasteries, often with more influence than male nobles. Throughout English history, female sexuality has oscillated between tribal freedom, religious repression, and the silent assertion of power through intelligence, faith, or diplomacy, a reflection of the cultural complexity that shaped this society. Conclusion. England was forged amidst war, faith, resistance, and diversity. Each people, Celts, Romans, Saxons, Vikings, and Normans, left deep marks. But it is also in the subtleties of everyday life, in the way men and women related to each other, that we find the most human clues to this historical construction. If you enjoyed this dive into the formation of England, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with those who also value historical knowledge. Leave a comment on which period of English history impressed you the most. See you in the next episode of our journey through history.